Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to our webinar. Thank you for joining us. It's been hopefully in your part of the world a lovely day. The weather is bright and sunny, but thank you for giving us your time in today. I'm going to welcome some of our speakers to speak to you in a second to give you an overview of what their recruitment challenges look like in the future and what we are doing at Energy and Utility Skills. So my name is Steve Barrett. I am the Director of Membership and Strategic Engagement here at Energy and Utility Skills. This is the first of our 3 webinars. And this session will be looking at careers of the future, and that's really irrespective of the entry routes or the, i.e. if you're a school leaver, graduate, industry mover, whatever that may be. The 2 remaining sessions which we have planned for October this year and February next year will focus on graduate apprenticeship roles, and in that order. So please keep an eye out for those notification and adverts nearer the time. Today's session will be providing a brief overview of some of the known skills demands over the next 5 years, followed by presentations from our employer organisations, providing insights from their own organisations based on what the future looks like for them. We'll then move into a Q&A session towards the end of this session, and that'll give you the opportunity to post questions in the Q&A function. I'll ask the panel to respond appropriately. So we plan to finish by 1 p.m. So we'll kick things off straight away with a little bit of a overview of the opportunities that are coming up in the energy and utilities industry over the next 5 years. So some of the intelligence or the information which we have, which we've analysed, providing us with information about what those job opportunities are. So we are looking at around 650,000 vacancies with over 200,000 new jobs over the next 5 years. Now that number seems absolutely huge, but if you think about the size of the industry and some of the challenges which we have around new regulatory regimes, new price periods, i.e. investment in the infrastructure, there is a significant demand. Also the changing technologies which we're looking to introduce around things like carbon capture and storage, and also potentially what's going to be happening with hydrogen for the future. So, and that, in terms of those numbers, then what do those roles include? So some of the job roles which we'll be looking at, and probably most prominent at the moment in the science area. So we're looking at chemical, biological, physical, and environment sciences. In the engineering part, we're looking at electrical, electronic, and mechanical. So it gives you some kind of insight into what that engineering element is looking at. In terms of skilled manual labour, we are looking at a significant uplift in heating, air conditioning engineer, installers, electrical fitter, general electricians, as well as things like cable jointer, overhead lines workers, welders, pipe fitters, and fabricators. So more in that technical end of those roles. Moving slightly more prominence as we go forward are data and IT analysts, things like data engineers, IT networks, web design, cyber security, but also looking at operational technology as well. So some of the challenges which we're having, some of the systems which we use within energy and utilities operate through remote systems. So therefore, the integrity of those systems around cybersecurity is going to be really important. And also administrative functions, things like finance, customer service, logistics, and stock control. So that gives you an idea about some of those types of roles. Now that growth, as I mentioned earlier, is really looking at a transition towards more sustainable circular economy, which minimizes waste and maximizes the reuse and recovery of value from those resources. So that is what we're looking at when we're achieving net zero. Also, not to forget about as well, we're trying to mitigate the risk change as well, and what the impact of that climate change could be. So therefore the roles which we're looking at, things like new technologies, developing nature-based systems, and that includes kind of concrete and more good things for the planet, and being very customer focused. So that kind of gives you a little bit of an overview of what we're looking at in the future. And in terms of our speakers today, I'm going to hand you over now. First of all, we're going to hear from Scottish Power. And then we're going to hear from Anglian Water, FCC Environment as well, so it's in that waste energy sector, and then Wales and Wales Utilities around the gas industry. So without further ado, let me introduce you to our first speaker, which will be Madeline from Scottish Power. So Madeline, can I hand over to you, please?
Perfect. Thanks, Steve. So good afternoon, everyone. So basically, I'm here to give you a bit of a spiel like everyone else and actually just talk to you about Scottish Power and also part of that skills challenge that we're currently facing and some of the opportunities and pathways there are into our industry. Okay, so a little bit about us. I won't be too boring. So basically, we're the first integrated energy company in the UK to generate 100% green electricity. So we're part of the Iberdrola group as well. So Iberdrola is one of the largest utility companies in the world and has subsidiaries in multiple countries around the world as well. Apologies, the lighting seems to have disappeared behind me, so I apologize if I just seem to look too dark. I just noticed that. So we're part of the Iberdrola group, and that's a really good platform for us in terms of the opportunities you can have with us at Scottish Power. There's I've worked in multiple countries with the company. We deliver across multiple companies, and there's some really fantastic opportunities long term if you're interested in a green career. So we have over 6,000 employees in the UK, and they're all here helping to deliver projects for us. We're headquartered in Glasgow, but we do have people all across the country as well. And so if you think a little bit about, the life cycle of electricity and how it works, so we manage most parts of that life cycle process. Okay, so we have a renewables business that actually does the generation. Okay, so we only generate green energy and renewable energy. So we have a renewables business that does offshore wind, onshore wind, solar, and a whole vast of other technologies that we do so that we can generate green electricity, so that we can help make it cheaper longer term. We then have a transmission business that helps manage the big cables across the country that actually transmit and connect that power from your onshore and offshore wind sites to your distribution centres. We have a distribution centre, a distribution business as well that helps transport that electricity across the network. And then we've got a customer business that actually, what that does is that final bit that helps get it into your homes. So we facilitate the distribution of that. And we also do things like help, make different solar panels, EV, heat pumps, all those sorts of things that are helping move us towards a greener future and to electrify the country so that we can get to net zero together. Okay, so part of what we're facing at the moment, and a lot of the other people that are going to talk to you today will have similar things, is that actually there's not enough skilled people in the UK at the moment coming into these careers. We don't have some of the skills that Steve outlined. We don't have enough of those people across the country. And we also have it's juxtaposed by a very low unemployment rate in the UK as well. And there's a lot of people post-COVID that are actually out of work at the moment because of long COVID, caring, they've taken early retirement and whole various deeper things. So it's quite challenging for us as a business to get the right people in so that we can deliver these projects at the moment. So we do a whole heap of work, and I unfortunately only have 7 minutes today like everyone else, so that we can make sure you can hear from everyone. But we do a whole heap of work that starts from school age kids all the way through to growing your career long term and your future, to help encourage people into this industry. Okay, because we've got a really good opportunity here to do some really good work in the UK to help electrify the country and start moving towards net zero, because we all know that with climate change, that's exactly what we have to be doing, and we're really keen to be a part of that. So we do work from school age all the way through so that we can encourage people into those careers. So Becky, if you want to go to the next slide for me. So I'll talk a little bit about all these different areas so that you guys have a good understanding of, how you can get into Scottish Power and the different things that we do here. Our website gives a lot more detail, but I hope this gives you guys an overview of the sort of things we have and the work that we do across here. So we do a few different pre-employment things. So we want to make sure that everybody gets a taste of the industry and, understands what we're trying to do. And it's about getting a piece of work experience, being able to work with the business, to be invested in a green career long term, and actually learn about all the different things that we do here firsthand. And also it benefits the students as well, because you end up with some really good experience that you can then take onto your career. So we do things like work experience. We do summer placements across all areas of our business and across the entire UK. And we also look at apprenticeship programs. Okay, so it provides really great foundation into the engineering industry, and it also equips with skills and knowledge and employability. Okay, and basically with our pre-apprenticeships and summer placements and things like that, they're also entries and pathways into our business as well. So they're different ways that perhaps maybe your school results haven't been as good, or school wasn't the pathway that you finished. There's multiple ways that you can get in, because we recognize that, you know, it's about the skills that people have and what they can deliver, and your academic background doesn't necessarily have to be perfect. So that's what we're doing. So can you go to the next slide, Becky? And then basically we also have apprenticeships as well. So we do a variety of apprenticeships across the businesses, and these are a really, really great way to get in and to learn. We have people that basically that work their way up through the business that come in via apprenticeship. So it's a really exciting way to get in. Our CEO of Energy Networks, Vicky Kelsall, she came into the back of the cash office and then worked her way up to be the CEO of that business. So we're really big on actually developing people within Scottish Power across Iberdrola and using these programs to leverage, the skills that you have moving forward. And we're always changing some of the stuff that Steve just described. The energy industry is always changing, energy and utilities, as we move with AI and we move with cyber. We're moving with the future, and these things will start to change. So this is just a taste of what we do across the business. Next slide, please. So graduate programs, we have a couple of different graduate programs, and we do them across a variety of different specialties. We have a global graduate program where we offer global placements within Iberdrola as well, which is a really exciting way to see the world and get some fantastic work experience that then leads into a permanent role. And we do local pathways as well, where people can work through and really start their green career with us at Scottish Power. So the full requirements are on our website, but this is just an overview and a taster of just all the different varieties of skills that we bring into the business. So we're not just engineering, and we don't just look at project managers. Actually, to deliver a business like ours, you need a whole host of skills and a whole host of different capabilities to be able to pull that business together and deliver. Next slide, please. And then we've got I'll just touch on some alternative entry points for you as well. So we do year in industry placements that are supported by the EDT, which is a scholarship, which is a charity that gets people into our business each year and then often leads on to positions. We do a Power Academy so that we help people to work through so that they can get into an apprenticeship longer term. And we also support scholarships for masters and then those people go directly onto our graduate program. So we work really hard to make sure that we can get the best people into our business at all times. And we're really looking forward to seeing who we can bring to the future and the exciting different things that we can do. And, working together with EU Skills and the other organizations that we work with to really get our heads around the skill challenge and be able to deliver for the future and net zero. So that's all from me. So I thank you for your time, and any questions, please pop them in the chat. For me, I think we'll be going through that at the end. And then Steve, I'll pass back to you so we can go on to our next speaker.
Brilliant. Thank you very much. I just jumped back on again then after having to reboot my laptop. So I do apologise if anyone's starting getting a little bit twitchy there, but thank you very much indeed. So next we're coming on to Bev from Anglian Water. Bev Sand, she's going to take us through what Anglian Water, some of the challenges which they have, and I mentioned earlier about some of the reinvestment in industry and infrastructure. Well, the water industry is going through a huge investment, just gone through their asset management period, business case submission into Ofwat. So let's listen to Bev, what she has to say. So over to you, Bev.
Thanks, Steve. Afternoon, everyone. So if we can just go to the next slide, just so I can sort of like bring Anglian Water to life for everybody. We are the largest water and water recycling company in England, and that is by geographic area, as it states. That means we sort of cover what it shows on the map, Lincolnshire to Norfolk, over to Northamptonshire, all the way down to Suffolk, covering 14 counties. And I suppose the disadvantage that we have as a region is the fact that we have as little rain as Spain. So being a water company doesn't really help us an awful lot because we have to transfer our water to everybody across the region as best as we possibly can. And we also have the small area of Hartlepool that covers our area too. So it's a vast amount for us to look at. So we have our own challenges from a, I suppose, region perspective for the amount of miles that we actually have to cover, as well as being a very dry region. So next slide, please. So what I wanted to do is bring to life what Anglian Water's about. We're not only a company that delivers water to our customers and takes dirty water away. We are a company that actually has a great innovation centre. So we have a quality and environment team, and this is one of their projects that I just wanted to bring to life a little bit more. And they have a multitude of projects that they're looking at. So this one is Get River Positive. It's very open in the media, as I'm sure you're aware, about water, the bathing, the river swimming, etc. But I just wanted to bring to life that we do as an organisation have a lot of projects. You can see there's a number of partnerships that we work with across the world, county, UK, to bring greater, I suppose, environmental positive steps to our community. And for us, this is really, really important. What we're looking at here is the fact that we're trying to bring nature back to where it used to be X amount of years ago, rather than having sort of like taken the human response of let's change it because that's what we should do. It's all about that environmental impact. And you can see that over the last 2 years, we've spent a vast amount of money putting in beaver habitats, which will then bring the natural water courses together. We put our wetlands in, which can create great environmental positivity. And there's a vast amount that we're doing to work with these partners, as well as some of the deals that we have with our farmers, so that all of the pesticides and things like that aren't just shifting into our rivers. So that's just a quick example to turn around and say this is one of the great things that we're doing. But as a company, the innovation that sits behind us is absolutely fantastic and invaluable to the way that we're trying to improve the way that we are actually delivering water and a region to our customers. So next slide, please. So just to also enhance sort of the offering that we have from a employability perspective, I just wanted to also share with you the fact that we support within our community. So our Anglian Water purpose is about environmental and social prosperity to our region. Our values are there as well, and they underpin everything that we're actually trying to deliver across our community. So you can see there's a couple of elements there that we look at. Ones I'm going to bring to life for you are the ERS Gold Award, which is our Forces Covenant. We're a Gold Award provider, and this is about us working very, very closely with our individuals in the business and partnering with some of our careers partners like Careers Transition Partnership to encourage these really great armed forces, trained individuals and transfer those skills over to our company and then grow that community. We also work really closely on a diversity and inclusion perspective, and we do employability sessions, CV writing skills and interviewing skills with some of our prisons. We've been to a number across the region to actually go in, have a couple of careers events and actually have those interview skills. And these are with people who are just going to, I suppose it's in the next 6 months, they're likely to come out into sort of the normal world. And it's very important for us to actually sort of work across that whole community piece in our region to say, okay, this is what we're doing and this is how we should be doing it. Again, another area we're looking at is disability confident. We're a level 2 provider, seeking our level 3, which is about a leader. But again, we want to encourage many people from all sorts of areas to actually come and work with us. And the one that's really great earlier this year in February 2024 is that we actually became the Women's Leaders Top 10, or in the Women's Leaders Top 10 as the best performing private company for female representation across our senior leadership team and our board. So again, just to show you sort of where we're going to try and incorporate masses of skills across our community. Next slide, please. So to bring it to life a little bit more, so as Steve mentioned, we are just going through our final year in our AMP cycle, so we're waiting to see what the determination brings and what money and investment we can have. However, our spend for the next 5 years in that cycle is going to be 2.3 times more than we spent in the last 5 years, which is absolutely significant for us. We're appreciative that the market is competitive, that's worldwide, nationwide, so we have to be very, very careful about what we're looking for. So the type of areas that we're likely to be looking at, and we don't necessarily know exactly where we're going, but our future projection is we're looking at smart metering, which I think around 32% of our current customer base are actually on at the moment. We're looking at surface water removal. We have 2 new reservoirs to build, going through planning and elements at the moment that you may have heard of. So there's a mass of stuff that we've got going on. At the moment, we're introducing 73 apprenticeships starting this year, and it's likely to be more next year. That covers off 53 operational roles, so that's just our BAU technician type roles in the field. And then we've also got the rest of them that are looking at quantity surveying, civil engineering, and more detailed, even down to our laboratory technicians. Also, with that, we've got graduates, again, going into the engineering field because that is our future focus, and also looking at that asset management piece, which is not typically what we've done from a graduate perspective, but we're conscious the fact that the shift in our future is going to be in the engineering asset management piece at this moment. And to bring it all to life, we are going to need around 7,000 more people across our company and our alliance partners who support the build of what we deliver to our customers. So at the moment, very much like Madeline said, we have around 6,000 staff at the moment. We're going to double that resource with what we need to actually achieve for the next 5 years, which is significant. So next slide, please. And this is just finally, just to bring it to life as to, yes, we have got some future skills we need to look at, but our current skill set, if you're not aware, is vast. It ranges from an engineering to cybersecurity, your basic finance, support functions, legal and things like that. However, we do have very random roles out there. We've got parks, which are part of our reservoirs. We've got people like wedding planners. So if there's roles out there that you think or skills you might have, then absolutely try and have a look on our website. And I've put the link there because it isn't just about the engineering. It's not just about getting the water to and from our customers, which is our standard core offering. And the skills we are deemed to be looking for in the future are absolutely in the engineering space, but it could be process engineering, it could be project engineering. We're looking at what we class as SUDS engineers, which is our sustainable drainage. Again, that environmental piece and also that operational technology that hits the data and digital side. And a final piece that we are actually recognising is the fact that we have got a number of very, very skilled, knowledgeable people within our industry. And in our company, it's very much a case of they will start to leave our business over the next 5-10 years. And we need to think about that knowledge transfer piece. So it's about us recognising what they can do, whether there's part-time working, how we can get that knowledge into our business or maintained, that succession planning piece, and also be aware that we can then plug and move on with that skill set. So that's the little piece from Anglian Water. If there's any questions that you have, please put them in the chat again, and I'll hand back to Steve.
Thanks very much, Bev. So interesting to hear how you're taking that back to nature and putting that right at the heart of what you're doing. Great to see about the Armed Forces Covenant. I know that is a great opportunity for people coming out of the armed forces, how inclusive the organisation is as well as some of the awards which you've had. But it's great to see that bringing to life in terms of those numbers, the 7,000 that are going to be required in the future to deliver this investment in the assets is hugely significant. And I think to point out, it's not organisations working singularly here. It is across so many other organisations right the way across the water industry, which are going through that asset management period, business case submission and final determination. So it's great to see that. But thank you very much for bringing that to life. So we're going to move on now onto our next speaker. So next we have Adele, and Adele's going to talk to us about what's going on at FCC Environment. Adele, over to you.
Hello, good afternoon, everyone, and welcome. I'm Adele from FCC Environment, and we are one of the UK's leading recycling and waste management companies. Similarly to both Madeline and Rebecca, we face similar challenges within our industry in terms of, some of the recruitment challenges. That pool seems to have got smaller, that Madeline mentioned, post-COVID. So as one of the leading recycling and waste management companies, we've recently acquired a further business, Abasa UK group of businesses. We employ over 4,200 people across the UK and operate a wide range of waste management sites. Every day, we minimise the amount of waste that ends up in our landfills by transforming it into valuable resources, namely recycling 1.1 tonnes of waste per annum and 117 megawatts of green energy. And we believe that it is, possible to be a thriving, successful business whilst reducing our impact on the natural environment, which is very, very important to us. Next slide, please. So we operate in 5 key areas, and those are recycling services, the collection of waste and recycling from households, and the treatment of waste and recycling at our network of HWRC, transfer stations, MRFs and composing facilities. Energy from waste, which is maximising the value from waste that cannot be recycled by creating heat and power. Waste processing, including the management of landfill, soils and those quarry facilities. Business waste solutions, dealing with waste from some of the biggest and most recognisable businesses in the UK. And land development, so delivering truly sustainable development where appropriate across our sites. Next slide, please. So our workforce, the statistics as of May, so that was prior to the completion of our acquisition of Abasa, was based on 2,235 employees. 75% of those employees are predominantly operational site roles, so namely manual roles. The main turnover figures come from within our collection contracts. So one of the main challenges we have is that, we need to move away from calling them bin men. And if you don't do well at school, you're going to end up a binman, because there's still a huge, area for those people to come into. These positions are physically very demanding. They work on average 8-9 hours a day and can walk 10 to 15 miles a day. So very, very challenging and in all weathers. Our challenge is competing with other jobs. So they tend to be minimum wage. Therefore, there's lots of jobs out there in terms of paying the same pay, but are less demanding. So how do we attract those people into our industry and maintain them? So we're always looking for a mix of skilled and unskilled workers. And of course, one of the other challenges, which I think Madeline mentioned, was around an ageing workforce. So that equally is going to pose its challenges in terms of succession planning. So, sorry, next slide, please. So what our workforce needs are going to be is graduate management trainees, so operational placements and support functions, and potential leaders for the future. Apprenticeships, so we're very big on apprenticeships at the moment, and we're always looking for new positions and development opportunities for employees who want to gain new skills and progress within the business, so grow that talent pipeline. Improve driver retention and upskilling of the existing workforce. We all know there's a real driver shortage, and that also poses our business with a challenge. So how do we retain them and allow for succession planning also of these type roles? And continuation of succession planning of existing management structures. So as I mentioned earlier, the ageing workforce. So the ability to develop and train our people internally for that succession planning and ensure that we're fit for the future. So the next slide, please. Thank you. So the waste sector, it is an exciting business and it's always evolving. It's a growing industry with ever-changing and development technologies. Again, as I mentioned earlier, it's really about changing that perception of just being a bin man, and you know, sort of progressing those people, so giving them the skills to be able to progress if they wish to do so. With the will to do more, we have so many opportunities to develop our organisation due to how diverse we are. And there will always be waste. And because of this, we believe we can offer longevity in terms of attracting those people to the business where, you know, a lot of it, where they said, you know, an industry isn't for life. Well, we believe it is within the waste industry. So that's it from me. Thank you. Back to Steve.
Gosh, if I take myself off mute. Thanks very much, Adele. That was really, really interesting. For me, you point out the kind of manual element of these roles, and as we're going forward, and perhaps those a lot of those roles are perhaps not seen as being people's preferred choice because of perhaps the press which has been about them. But I always think about the criticality of these roles in the waste industry is absolutely imperative to us, the UK establishing net zero and mitigating the risk of climate change. The more that we can recycle that waste, the more that we can actually take out of that waste chain and put it back into recycling to make sure that we are recovering energy, as we like to call it, from the waste industry, I think is going to be hugely important. Obviously, the element of carbon capture, utilization, and storage is a front runner as well in the waste industry, and there's been significant investment in that additional plant around recovering the energy from waste. So certainly that's an area which we're focusing on as part of that skills future development of the right people with the right job at the right time. So that's really interesting. Also, you mentioned the aging workforce. For me, that the numbers which I called out right at the beginning of this, plus the 600,000, well, 300,000, those are new roles. So people that are going to be required new into the industry, but actually a lot of the roles are due to retirement and actually people just moving industry. So it's a big part of the industry. There is an aging workforce, and because people, once they're in the industries, both water, power, gas, and waste and recycling, it is an excellent career. So therefore, they don't often move. So we do retain those people. So actually, trying to drive up things like diversity in the industry sometimes can be challenges because it does change very slowly. So therefore, people do stay in the industry, and I think that's testament to the industry of how good a career it can be. So you know, that's point to note on that one. But thank you very much for that. Really, really interesting. So next we're going to move on. So if you can just advance slides, we're going to come to Wales Mass Utilities, and we're going to have Zoe talking to us. So Zoe, can I hand over to you, please?
Of course, no problem. Thank you. Hi, everyone. So I'm Zoe Jones. I'm a resource and business partner for Wales and West Utilities. And so I'll just explain a little bit about who we are. So next slide, please. And so we're a gas emergency and pipeline service. So we don't sell gas, we transport it through pipes. And those pipes are about 35,000 kilometres across 1/6 of the UK. So I think it's from New Zealand to the UK and back is how many pipes we have. And so we keep our 2.5 million customers safe and warm, and we respond to gas emergencies across a catchment of 7.5 million people. And at the moment, we have over 1,900 colleagues and is continuing to grow year by year. Next slide, please. So it's a really exciting time for us with the future of energy, but also a critical time for the energy sector in general, as you've heard. So we need to continue to provide the energy which people need, but also reduce our carbon impact of that energy. And so gas historically has obviously a bad reputation, but we're doing a lot to support decarbonisation. So gas isn't only used to heat our homes, but to light them too. And on a number of occasions, gas has been the only source of power for our electricity. So it has an important part to play in how we power our homes and businesses. But we're working hard to reduce our carbon footprint. So some examples of that are committing to net zero by 2035, preparing our network of pipes to be able to transport green gases like hydrogen and biomethane, and helping flexible power stations, green gas producers and gas vehicles to use our network as well. Next slide, please. So preparing the network. So I mentioned there about the changes to the pipes. So we're starting to take practical steps in net zero. So right now we're working on a range of projects and schemes that will help deliver our vision of a reliable, affordable and green whole energy system ahead of a strategic decision on heat from the UK government. These are our no regrets initiatives that can start delivering decarbonisation of heat today. So pipe upgrades. So in 2002, we started a national programme to upgrade old metal gas pipes. So by 2032, all pipes within 30 metres of buildings will be plastic. So this is part of our commitment to keep gas flowing safely to homes and businesses long into the future. The programme reduces gas leaks as well as carbon emissions from the operations of the gas networks, while also making the network cost effective. So our pipes will be safer, more durable and future-proof. So for renewable gas, we have 19 renewable sources of gas connected to our network, including a tomato farm and a sewage works. So they supply an equivalent of 113,000 homes with low carbon green gas, and this is just the start. So we're working with third parties to help connect more sources of green gas into our network. And our new plastic pipes have a lifespan of more than 80 years. So renewable gas production is a growing part of our safe and reliable gas supply. And for new builds, so with the results of our visions clear and endorsement of hybrid heating as a key part of low carbon heat, and we're supporting local and devolved government make decisions on the heating of new build housing stock. For smart gas grid, so with the dramatic increase of injection of low carbon green gas, we need to make our network as flexible as possible. So we're working on a project with other gas networks that will help us to make the most of the sources of green gas that we currently have in the UK. And then for energy centres, so combined heat and power stations connected to our networks are not only generating low carbon electricity and heat for factories and other industrial applications, they're also playing a key role in developing heat networks. And that's within Bristol as well, so in one of our areas that we currently cover. Next slide, please. So an example that we've got at the moment, so a project that we're currently working on is Highline Cymru. So we obviously recognise the need to invest in the future to decarbonise industry while protecting community jobs and the economy. So by building this pipeline and replacing natural gas with methane with low carbon hydrogen, this project could enable a reduction of up to 3.2 million tonnes of CO2 per year, whilst retaining and creating hundreds of jobs during the construction and operational phases. So this is just one project creating hundreds of jobs, but it also has a bigger impact into jobs that aren't directly with us. So thousands of jobs will be created, and that's through production facilities, new industrial plants. So with a positive decision by the UK government in 2026 with regards to hydrogen for heat, this pipe could further enable the rollout of hydrogen for domestic use in Wales and beyond. Next slide, please. And so what does that mean for our future skills requirements and careers? So a lot, it's huge. So it's a change to our operational workloads and delivery. So it's completely changing the way that we do things now. So for example, larger diameter work. So that's bigger pipes that we'll have to work on that not everyone is used to or has the skills yet. IP projects and multi-occupancy buildings. So these are things that aren't always our regular normal things that we work on. So that's a huge change to our skills. business as usual, so maintenance of existing skills and competence with a focus on innovation. So how we look at the future, how we can start preparing now. That we have a whole team that focuses on that, and it's huge, as well as kind of keeping our apprenticeships and graduate programs going, which is an annual campaign for us. And then consequence of government decisions. So obviously the decision is still being made around the future of energy, whether that's hydrogen, blended hydrogen, biomethane. That is us decommissioning a whole gas network when the decision is made, and we're going to need a lot of people to do that. Next slide. So future careers then. So right now we've got, you know, colleagues who are really key to shaping the future of energy for us and being part of that. We've also introduced a net zero team that is growing month by month just to focus on this work because it's continually growing. We're making changes and commitments across all of our job roles to ensure that we contribute to our net zero commitments, thinking about our impact on the environment and working sustainably. And in the future, our network will change, which means the skills of our engineers will need to change. So that's new technologies, smart tool and technologies, which is, you know, our IT and cyber team will need to grow to innovate that. New qualifications for hydrogen, if that's the role that we go down, and new roles that we're not even sure that what they could be and don't exist yet, but we have to plan for those. So it's going to be a really exciting time for us, and a big change that we're really, really ready for. So that's it from me. Thank you.
Thank you very much indeed. That was really, really interesting, Zoe, and certainly from I guess a user of gas perspective, that press that's always out there, isn't there, about what's going to happen with gas in the future? Is it going to become hydrogen? Are we going to look at a blended mix? Does it mean that we're all moving across to just electricity, the whole combination of electric vehicles and achieving net zero, mitigating the risk of climate change? They're all challenges which we're constantly hearing in the press. I think certainly from my perspective, making sure that we've got the right workforce to be able to deliver on this, whatever the government decision is going to be absolutely critical. So I think the message which is in the media at the moment out there potentially sometimes works against us. But suffice to say, as you've just stated there is so much still to do, which whatever the government decision is actually, be it hydrogen in homes, or be it perhaps a more modular approach and utilization of that hydrogen, whatever that may look like. But certainly there is a bright future for the gas industry in whatever shape it comes. The decarbonisation of heat there is an important element, because I think it's something worth pointing out, is that some of the scenarios which we look at about how we utilize the energy system, the whole system approach to energy, we don't really have the storage which we require at the moment, the energy storage system. So we are still hugely dependent on the gas networks for that stored energy and for heating people's homes and water and the likes. So whatever we do decide that energy system looks like in the future, it's going to be a combination of most of what we've seen today. So look, thank you very much for that. Really, really interesting. I'm so sorry, Madeline, when I didn't get to the end of your presentation, I didn't kind of summarize what you talked about, but purely because I was scrambling around trying to get my IT back up and running again. But look, thank you very much for the presentation which you gave as well. And I know certainly from the power networks perspective, the whole challenge around distribution system operation and the likes of cyber going forward, data integrity, and making sure that we're all those roles are covered, and being able to manage that transition that we go forward in the future is going to be hugely influential in how we achieve this net zero. So the key message from me is that there is business as usual here. There is a transition as we move forward to make the systems, to make them cleaner, to make them much more efficient, and build on the already great work which has been done by industry at the moment. I continually push this phrase about this industry being for a greener world, and I think it's worth noting that we have a huge opportunity in the energy and utilities industry to be able to support that transition to net zero, and across natural resources, etc. The challenge around climate change is significant. So therefore, if we can mitigate the risk of that, it's going to be beneficial to everyone. We've heard from waste and recycling. We've heard from power generation through transmission, through distribution. We've heard from water. We've heard about gas, power networks, etc. All those elements, they're all critical components that deliver vital services to our homes every day. So with that in mind, what I want to do now is to open up the Q&A forum, and I'm just looking through at the moment. We've got a couple of questions in from Hannah. So the first question is, which I'll pose to the panel, is how reliant are you on recruitment agencies? So Madeline, shall I come to you first?
Sure. To be honest, it depends. So we have quite a large contractor workforce that supplements our permanent staff workforce as well. So we tend to use agencies to help us get those in. And for context, those sorts of roles are roles that, you know, are maybe super specialist, or we only need them for short periods of time on a project. Roles that are longer with skill sets we tend to use all the time, we tend to keep those roles internal and permanent. We tend to only use recruitment agencies for our permanent roles for very, very specialist skill sets. But otherwise, we've got a very comprehensive talent acquisition team in-house who deliver a lot of that work themselves.
Thanks, Madeline. Bev?
Yeah, quite similar. We don't use agencies as standard for permanent roles at all. It's very much a case of, again, we've got a talent acquisition team that support the business. So it's really about using the tools from a LinkedIn recruiter perspective, doing their own search, using their knowledge within sort of their industry to actually go out and create those communities so that they're actually known within the industry and discipline they're working on. However, we do know the place that we need to go to for agencies. So we've got roles like treasury analysts or part of our treasury team that are quite specialist, and you don't have that many people coming on board. So we know where we need to go, and we do have a PSL for temporary side of things, so we can actually churn, I guess, the lower skilled roles as and when they're needed on sort of a temporary basis. And typically, I would say we use those for some of our admin roles and then some of our lab sampler roles as well, because we obviously need to keep that water moving to test, etc., etc.
Brilliant. Thanks, Bev. And Adele, from your perspective?
Yes, we use agency predominantly on the operational side to cover holidays and sickness for those operational roles. In terms of permanent roles and specialist roles, we have a list of preferred agencies that we may use from time to time to help us with those difficult to recruit permanent roles. However, based on our own careers website, we attract candidates to go on our platform, and then we sort of do our own in-house recruitment. So yeah, it's mainly for the operational roles.
Thanks, Adele. And Zoe?
Yeah, so we're quite similar. So we have a PSL as well, but we might be a bit opposite to what Adele mentioned there. Operational roles, we normally don't use agencies with those. We're quite comfortable and have partnerships with like uni colleges to kind of get the roles out there. But back office specialist roles, finance, IT and cyber, that's the areas we struggle with. So we'd use their support for those.
Brilliant, thanks, Zoe. And I guess a question to everyone. I mean, for the listeners out there, what should they be doing to position themselves as best they can for roles in your companies? And anyone that's open to anyone, please do come in.
guess from Wales and West Utilities point of view, we have a talent network, so definitely getting signed up for that to see which jobs come up. They change weekly on every Monday. We post new roles, so it's quite a quick turnaround. So if you're part of that talent network, you can see which roles are coming up, which ones you think would be most suited, and have a chat with us. Speak to us if you think that there's some skills listed on the advert that you don't have. Then that's absolutely fine. Still put yourself forward, because we'll pick those up as training gaps, and there may be some that are desirable or essential and you're not sure. So yeah, pick up the phone, send us an email and have a chat around what you currently have and whether they're transferable, because most of the time they are. So yeah, I think that's really key.
Brilliant. Thanks, Zoe. Anyone else?
Yeah, I'd agree with Zoe, to be quite honest.
Yeah.
I think because we don't use agencies as a norm, it's about connecting with us or connecting with our teams. And we have got a good team that would actually sort of talk to us. So if anyone wanted to make contact with me, either sort of send me a message directly or send me a LinkedIn connection, and we can do it that way. But absolutely, it's about talking to people. Our roles go up every day. So every day could be a completely new set of skills that are being advertised. So my advice for us is very much about, we've got job alerts on our careers website. So register yourself, put your skills in there. There's jobs that come up and you're quite interested, absolutely do it. But again, LinkedIn for us, we post an awful lot on LinkedIn, and we've got 2 pages on LinkedIn. So it's slightly different in the fact that we've got our Anglian Water standard page, but then we've also got an Anglian Water life page. So if you want to see sort of what people are getting up to, so we put our careers events on there. We put sort of like people going out and about on operational sites. Some of the environmental stuff goes on there. So it actually brings to life, as corny as that may sound, it does bring to life exactly what the culture and behaviour of what our people are doing. So yeah, follow us and sort of get that feel as to who we are, what we are, and then make contact with our team.
Brilliant. Thanks very much, Bev. Okay, I'll move on. We've got a couple more questions come in. I'd like to know the opportunities available for energy law graduates looking for roles in renewables and the energy sector. Any ideas? Anyone? Madeline, I suppose that'd be to you initially.
Yeah, so we do. We do take some graduates, mostly in law. Usually people will be fully qualified and pass that training period before they come to us. But we have started taking some training, some graduates, and actually supporting them through that last portion of their process. So it just depends. I think with law, there's really no there's a lot of opportunities for you across many industries. But if you're looking at to get into renewables, everyone will be looking for jobs. Everyone needs lawyers, and a lot of companies like ourselves, we actually have those graduate opportunities. But I'd be looking to position yourself in terms of being interested in the industry and invested in what it's doing, and and start. I don't think you need a specific degree at all, but start upskilling yourself about how the energy industry works and what it's, and the companies that you're applying for and how they're contributing to that, because that'll help you stand out. But yes, we certainly do take someone. I know lots of other companies do as well.
Brilliant. Thank you, Madeline. And same for everyone else. I mean, I guess it's quite similar in terms of degrees, types of degrees which you're looking for. Obviously, law graduates is one, but any others as well?
Yeah, we have a graduate scheme where we do a graduate day, and we talk about FCC and all the different opportunities that and how they can move their career as well, in terms of they may have an idea in terms of, I want to do X, but what we tend to do is take them through the whole of the industry. And they spend certain periods of time, and sometimes that can have an impact on them where they want to change that sort of career that they initially thought they wanted to go into. So yeah, we always take on graduates, and they're a big part of our business. They are the future. So we're always looking for talented young people to come into the business and learn all about the waste industry. Because like I say, a lot of people think of the waste industry as, but it's so exciting, when you think about you know, from collecting that rubbish from your bins to recycling. You know, it's very fascinating and very interesting.
Yeah, absolutely, and I think I think you've probably honed in on the fact that there are roles for everybody out there, and actually within organisations there is that ability to move around depending on what your interests are, and you know, and to find that that realisation what that perhaps that home role should be for the future. You know, people do come to industry and they don't often leave, so it's you know, it's
Yes,
testament to
we're quite lucky. We have a very low labour turnover, so we're quite lucky.
Indeed. Okay, let's there's a question in here. So for anyone that's in school, what should they be studying, do you think, for coming into industry? I mean, I know we've talked about the variety of roles, but what sort of things do you look for when people are coming in? What sort of qualifications? Shall I come to you, Zoe? You haven't you didn't answer the last one.
Yeah, no problem. So I guess it depends on which route, because we have a huge offering of apprenticeships. So for example, we do HR apprenticeships. So in that case, it would just be GCSEs in any subject. So just 3 that we ask for there. So not always English and maths. The same for all of our engineering ones. We just ask for 3 GCSEs at the moment, but that's likely to change and not be needed. And then we offer ones in asset management, and that's the same at GCSEs. The graduate, it can be anything that's kind of relevant to that subject. So for example, for the first time, we've had a sustainability graduate, and that person studied within geography, but had loads of kind of modules that link to that sustainability element. So I think as long as, you know, read that job description, see what skills that you could bring to that, but we're quite open in terms of qualifications and what you need, as long as it's transferable and it's what you're passionate about as well. That means, you know, that's your career development and you're happy doing what you're looking to do, really. So it's quite open for us, depending on your career path.
Yeah, thanks, Zoe. Thanks. Bev, any thoughts from yourself?
Yeah, to be honest, I can say from a graduate perspective, we've been quite open with what degree they've had. We are thinking about tailoring it, and it's only a thought we had in the last couple of weeks as to, because I think for the future, next, so 2025 graduate campaigns, we're looking, I think, for data and digital engineering and environmental ones. And I think we're going to try and get it more aligned, because I think the skills that we're looking for, we're then going to think about they can plug in the gaps more in having their knowledge in, say, sustainability, in water, in things like that. So I suppose even looking at sort of connecting more strongly with Cranfield, who do very, very heavy water courses, etc. Obviously, that's another higher level. Apprenticeships, we do ask for 5 GCSEs, but again, because they're typically our mechanical and electrical technicians, and there is a level of mathematical that needs to go through that. So it's very relevant as to, depending on the level and depending what role they're going to go into. And like Zoe said, if you have that passion, and a lot of it when we do our lower level roles, it's about the behaviour of that individual. So we look for like things like teamwork. Have they got the manual dexterity? Are they happy being outside? So it's nothing that you're talking to a school leaver saying, I need to see this, this, and this. It's very much okay, or even somebody who's been at college for a couple of years doing some sort of engineering or mechanical course. It's more about their behaviour that turns around and says, can I fulfill in this role to deliver this? And it's that mentality that we seek, because that then means somebody can typically train, they'll work in a team, the whole being outside in the cold, pouring rain and horrible conditions that potentially you could with some of these roles that we're all talking about. It's there, it's the reality, and you've got to be quite resilient from that side of things. So skills are great, but I think there's a behavioural piece that sits very strongly beside it from our perspective as well.
Yeah, brilliant. Thanks, Bev. Look, we are unfortunately out of time, but can I just thank all of our speakers today for their excellent insights into their organisations and the activity which they got going on in terms of delivery of some of that infrastructure development, as well as some of the roles which are available. I would encourage everybody to please get in touch with the organisations we've been talking about, and also the wider energy and utilities industry. We obviously do have, hopefully you're all signed up to the talent pool on energy and utility jobs. So please do keep an eye out on that. We will continue to push notifications out on some of the recruitment which is going on across industry. Just for me to say, look, this is an excellent industry to be part of. Please do get involved. There are so many roles out there which are exciting. If you're looking for a job for life, then it's definitely there. If you're looking for something which is in the cyber digital security area, then absolutely there are roles out there, right the way down to the manual roles. You know, we are still digging holes and putting pipes in ground. We are still collecting bins. We are recycling waste, but it's there for the taking, and there's so many jobs out there. So please do keep looking and stay in touch. Our next session, our next webinar is coming up in October. The date is to be confirmed on that. That's around National Graduate Week. And then the one in February 2025 is around National Apprenticeship Week, which is on the 12th of February. So please put a note in your diaries. I look forward to speaking to you then, but it's just for me to say thank you very much to everyone that's joined us, and hopefully we'll catch you at the next event.